Morning. So my name is Chandramouli, lecturer in mechanical engineering, worked at Government Polytechnic Warangal, subject engineering materials. So major topic iron carbon equilibrium diagram. So in that iron carbon equilibrium diagram, today's subtopic we will deal with critical points of iron carbon diagram by the help of diagrams, figures and animations. So already last class we have discussed about recap. In this last class we have discussed about allotropic form of iron carbon equilibrium diagram, iron carbon alloys, allotropic forms of pure iron. So allotropic means at different temperatures this iron exhibits different type of structures. That property is known as allotropic form or polymorphism of a iron. So this iron exhibits alpha iron, delta iron and gamma iron. So it exhibits different temperatures, different types of structures. So that is a very important property for the iron. So in that iron we will we will evaluate by using internicial solid solution alloying. Internicial solid solution alloying iron added carbon content by internicial solid solution alloying, that is called iron carbon alloy. So in this alloying we will study the equilibrium. Equilibrium means how the phases of iron and carbon are changes, what is the phases changes, all are discussed iron carbon equilibrium diagram. So before that we will draw iron carbon equilibrium diagram. So first we will find what is the critical temperatures. What is the mean of critical temperatures? Where is the formation of critical temperatures? Today's topic we will discuss critical points of iron carbon equilibrium diagram. Critical points of equilibrium. First we discussed all these things today's class. So objectives on completion of this class, you would be able to understand known what is the eutectic, eutectoid and periodic constituents. Next, critical temperatures and its significance. It is the very important topic for iron to evaluate iron carbon equilibrium diagram. So critical temperatures are main key role for the iron carbon equilibrium diagram. What is the eutectic, eutectoid and periodic constituents? What type of components are getting at this temperature versus composition, which type of phases are getting, all are evaluated by using iron carbon equilibrium diagram. So today's objectives on completion of this period, you would be able to know eutectic, eutectoid constituents, critical temperatures and its significance. First introduction, you will see alloy of iron carbon system includes steel and cast iron. So alloys with a carbon content or carbon percentage up to 2% is known as steel. Alloy with carbon content above 2% and up to 6.67 percentage is called cast iron. This is the main difference. How the carbon percentage influence the iron means, this is the main reason. By using internicial solid solution, so we will draw the equilibrium diagram. Temperature is on y-axis, percentage of composition is on x-axis. So you will by adding the carbon content with the help of interstitial solid solution. So in that main classification, alloy of iron carbon system includes steel and cast iron. Alloy with a carbon content up to 2% is known as steel. Alloy with a carbon content above 2% is known as cast iron. So the iron carbon system provides the most predominant examples of heat treatment. So first you will see what is the eutectoid steels. What is the eutectic cast irons? First you will see the what is the eutectoid steels, eutectic steels. So you will draw iron carbon equilibrium diagram. In iron carbon equilibrium diagram, you see this is the iron carbon equilibrium diagram. So in iron carbon equilibrium diagram, you will already seen the allotropic form of iron. So that means gamma iron, that means delta iron, gamma iron and alpha iron. So in this diagram, gamma iron, it is in the form of solid. It is in the form of solid. Gamma iron is in the form of solid. So it is the gamma iron is in the within the form of solid. That is austenite. It is a stable form of gamma iron at the temperature of 1147 degrees centigrade. 1147 degrees centigrade. So it is the stable form of gamma iron. So in gamma iron that is in a solid state, that solid gives rise to one form of solid gives rise to two forms of another solid. That is solid 1 gives rise to solid 2 plus solid 3. That is austenite gives rise to ferrite plus cementoid. Ferrite plus cementoid. That mixture is known as a pierrite. That mixture is known as a pierrite. That mixture is known as a pierrite. So this type of reaction is known as a eutectoid reaction. So that means solid 1 gives rise to two types of solids. Solid 1 gives rise to two types of solids. So these type of reactions called, that is the scientist names, eutectoid are chemical reactions. So eutectoid means at the so eutectoid reaction occurs at temperature 723 degrees of temperature, and gamma iron 0.77% of carbon cooled to transformed into alpha iron plus Fe3C. That is a total combination is called pierrite. So austenite gives rise to by using cooling or heating, that gives rise to ferrite plus cementite. This total mixture is known as a pierrite. That means in that solid 1 gives rise to two types of solids. This type of reaction is known as a eutectoid steels. So steels with a carbon content from 0.008 to 0.8 is called hypoeutectoid steels. More carbon content for excessive, that means steel containing carbon content from 0.8 to 2% is called hypoeutectoid steels. Okay, this is the main classification. Up to 2% is called all are steels, but hypo means some extent, hyper means more than that extent. That is called, that's why you are like putting names like that. So steels with carbon content from 0.008 or 0 to 0.08% are called hypoelectrolyte steels. So steels containing carbon content 0.8 to 2% are called hyperelectrolyte steels. So steel with carbon content exact of 0.8 percentage is known as a electrolyte steel. Electrolyte steel, that is called perlite, that is called 100% perlite form. So first you will see the classification how this perlite form means. You will see the iron carbon equilibrium diagram. First you will classify how electrolyte steels in critical temperatures. This is the very important classification. Next, we will go for eutectic steels. Eutectic steels, that means cast irons. Greater than 2% of steel is called cast iron. So, eutectic means here liquid gives rise to two types of solids. That type of reactions is called eutectic reactions. Why? There is a chemical name. So the eutectic, periodic, all these are chemical names, chemical type of names. Here, liquid form of iron gives rise to austenite plus cementoid. This total mixture is called laterite. So liquid gives rise to two types of solid, solid 1 plus solid 2. So total this content is known as a laterite. So this occurs at the 4.3 percentage of carbon and 1130 degrees centigrade. So at this type of eutectic reactions are getting. So you see the iron having carbon in the range of 2 to 4.3 percentage is called hypoelectric cast irons or hypoelectric cast irons. So iron having carbon in the range of 4.3 to 6.67 is called hyperelectric cast irons. Hyperelectric cast iron. So this is the very important reactions in the iron carbon equivalent diagram. These reactions are phases are changed. How means solid, liquid, which phases, solid plus liquid, which type of phases or changes, that is mainly study. So before that we see the critical temperatures. So that means these phases are changes. That means you will see the critical temperatures means temperature is on y-axis, percentage of composition is on x-axis. So by heating or by cooling, so by heating, so AR1, AR2, AR3, by cooling AC1, AC2, AC3. So these are critical temperature. That means which temperature these phases are changed. So which temperatures these phases are changed was called critical temperatures. That is called critical temperatures. So you see the how the critical temperatures means. So you see the diagram. So you see the diagram. So the structural changes occurs. The structural changes occurs at the critical points. The critical points obtained in cooling are slightly lower than obtained in heating. The critical points. So you see the graph. So the critical points obtained in the cooling are slightly lower than the obtaining heating. So the critical points for cooling are designed by AR1, AR2 and AR3, and the letter R is being the word reinforcement, meaning to cool. So next, the points heating are designed by AC1, AC2 and AC3. The letter C is called C is the initial of Initial of letter is called phase, meaning to heat. So don't confuse. The C means not cooling. Phase, that means heating or means cooling. That's the main reason the graph heating, that means the first point, the structural changes occurs in the critical points. So the critical points applying the cooling is slightly lower than those of heating. So the temperatures at which transformation takes place, that means 1400 degrees centigrade and 910 degrees centigrade and 768 degrees centigrade. So these are called critical temperatures. So main thing, so by observing these graphs, so by heating the structural changes occurs at the that points is called critical point. That points is called critical point. So by heating and by cooling, so cooling and heating, so that is the very important these structures changes in equilibrium diagram. That's why separately you study the critical temperatures. Next, you will see the critical points. The structural changes due to the heating or cooling causes burst of temperatures. That is called critical points. The structural changes takes place at a constant temperature. The structural changes takes place at constant temperatures is called critical temperatures. The temperature arrest is known as a critical points. So in critical points, the arrested occurs at slightly higher temperatures on heating, that is called AC, as compared to the cooling, AR. The letter C indicates the word phase, meaning to heat. R is the taken from the word of reinforcement, that means to cool. So if the piece of electrolyte steel is allowed to cool slowly, it will be observed that cooling proceeds at uniformly repeatedly rate up to the critical point AR1. So the evaluation of heat due to transformation of austenite into perlite at a critical point results increase in temperature of steel. That means in spite of cooling at uniform rate, and steel will go observed to glow. The phenomena is called reclosences. The reverse change it takes place on heating. The absorption of heat due to transformation of perlite into austenite at a critical temperature AC1 results decrease the temperature of steel is known as declarences. So this is the main iron carbon or iron carbon equilibrium diagram. So in iron carbon equilibrium diagram, so first temperature is on x-axis, percentage of composition is on, so the temperature is on y-axis, percentage of carbon is on x-axis. So we will see already very easy diagram. First we will draw 3 rose flowers with 3 horizontal lines. These 3 horizontal lines is called isothermal lines. Iso, that means constant temperatures, that means temperatures of 1539 degrees centigrade and 1139 degrees centigrade and 723 degrees centigrade. These are the main isothermal reactions. So in the today's topic, we will not discuss the whole iron carbon phase diagram. Today's only you discuss the critical temperature lines. That is the A1, A2, A3 and ACM and A4. Okay, A1 is the where is the A1? This is A2, this is A3. This is ACM, A2, A3, ACM. So you indicated the A1, so red color. So this is the A1, A2. So you see detailed all these. So A1 and A3 is the lower and upper critical temperature lines for hypoelectric steel. Next, A13 and ACM is the lower and upper critical temperature lines for hyperelectric steels. Okay, you will see this diagram. So A1 and A3. A1, this is the line. So the temperature 723 degrees centigrade. 723 degrees centigrade. This is the line is called A1 line, that is up to so hypoelectric steels 0 to 0.8. 0 to 0.8 is the hypoelectric steels. 0.8 to 2% is hyperelectric steels. So first up to 0 to 0.8 part, that is called A1 line, that is called lower critical temperature line, lower critical temperature line. And A3 and A3. So this is represent, this is a figure A3. So there is a green line, that is the green A3, that is called A3, that is called A3 line. So that is called upper critical temperature lines for hypoelectric steels. So in hyperelectric steels, that is called A13, that is called lower critical temperature line. A13 is called lower critical temperature line. And ACM, so that is called, indicate this ACM, that means that is called upper critical temperature line for hyperelectric steel. Next line A2 is called the Curie temperature line, that is magnetic properties to non-magnetic properties. So the temperature A2 is the Curie temperature line. A2 is the Curie temperature line. Okay, so these are the very important critical temperature. Why means here so these critical temperatures A1 and A3, A1 and A3 for lower and upper critical temperature lines for the hypoelectric steel. A13 and ACM is the lower and upper critical temperature lines for the hyperelectric steel. And A2 is the Curie temperature line, that means magnetic properties to non-magnetic properties are changing, that is the Curie temperature line, that is called A2 line. And A4 and also is there, that is periodic reaction, that is the periodic reaction, that is also the phases are changed. That means that's why it is a very which temperature the phase transformation is changed, that means it is called iron carbon critical temperature line. Suppose you see the animation how these critical temperatures, suppose you see the animation.
This is somewhat it looks like, and in this we have only focused on the temperatures from where austenite is transforming, and the carbon ranging from 0 to 2% of carbon. Like we already discussed, this up to 2% of carbon, it is called steel. Now furthermore, we have to understand something about the lines which are represented here, which is the transmission lines, which are also called as critical temperature lines. Now we label them as A3, A1, ACM and A3, 1. They are also called as upper critical temperature lines and low critical temperature lines, but they are on the either sides of the eutectoid temperature line. So in general, they are called as A3 is called as upper critical temperature line on the hypoeutectoid side of the steel, and A1 is low critical temperature line on the hypoeutectoid side of the steel. ACM, similar to that, upper critical temperature line on the hypereutectoid side of the steel, and A3, 1 is lower critical temperature line on the hypereutectoid side of the steel. Sorry about this. This is hypereutectoid side of the steel. Now, if at all we take an alloy composition somewhere at 0.4% of carbon, and we try to understand the microstructure or the cooling of this 0.4% of carbon, something like this. So at austenite we have somewhere at this particular point we get altogether austenite composition throughout with 0.4% of carbon dissolved interstitially in the austenite grain boundary, and it will not have any difference until it reaches this line, which is A3 line. So it will have the same 0.4% of carbon in the interstitial portion of the iron lattice up to the upper critical temperature line on the hypoeutectoid side of the steel. Upon reaching this line, just below that, this is where the allotropic change has to start. Like we have already seen in pure iron, the allotropic change has starts from 910. Since carbon is being added, there is a difference in the temperature at which it is supposed to occur. Instead of 910, it is occurring somewhere here below. And at this temperature, the starting or the beginning of transformation is to initiate, and it will transform from FCC gamma iron to BCC alpha iron, and the allotropic change is beginning at this particular point. So all the allotropic changes is initiated just below this upper critical temperature line on the hypoeutectoid side of the steel. Now in order to change from FCC gamma iron austenite, the carbon which is present in the interstitial solid solution has to come first out, and they have to just dissolve only 0.025% of carbon and form a alpha iron like shown in this case, and the rest of the carbon which has come out from the gamma iron will be absorbed by the other gamma iron or austenite, and that is how the austenite will increase its carbon content and will try to attain the eutectoid composition, which is 0.8, and it only dissolves 0.025% of carbon in order to form alpha iron. And this alpha iron which is formed will grow in size from this point until it cools to this point. So as it cools down, the amount of ferrite which is formed will only vary, but at the same time the rest of the austenite will attain more carbon, and it will try to attain the 0.8% of carbon, which is exactly required for the eutectoid reaction to participate. So below this line, or the eutectoid temperature line or lower critical temperature line, all the austenite will attain 0.8% of carbon, which is exactly required for the eutectoid reaction to occur, and the austenite will now transform into the eutectoid reaction, which is nothing but ferrite plus cementite mixture, which is perlite. So it looks something like this. We'll come to this perlite formations, but mainly you'll have the austenite, which is transforming into alternate layers of ferrite plus cementite, like shown in this case with the hashes, and the alpha, which is ferrite, which is formed even before the eutectoid reaction, was called as pro-eutectoid ferrite. So in 0.4 percentage of carbon, we get pro-eutectoid ferrite and perlite mixture. Now, when we discuss about 0.8 percentage of carbon, at this particular point, it will have more or less the same austenite, only difference will be its carbon content. In this alloy, we have 0.8 percentage of carbon dissolved interstitially in the austenite grain boundary, and at this particular point, it behaves like a pure metal and completely transformed. 100% of austenite will be transformed into 100% of perlite. So it will all transform into alternate layers of ferrite and cementite network, like a laminar or a fingerprint like structure, as you can see here in this case. So main process behind this transformation of austenite to perlite is through diffusion. So the carbon which is coming out from the austenite will form first initially a plate-like structure, which is a rich in carbon. So it will form a cementite Fe3C. So this carbide on either side of this carbide will form a ferrite with only 0.025 percentage of carbon, and that forms an alternate layers of ferrite cementite network, which looks like a laminar structure. So further, if we focus on something in hyper-eutectoid side of the steel at let us say 0.1 percentage of carbon. At the austenite grain boundary, you'll have the same austenite, but in this case 1 percentage of carbon dissolved in the austenite grain boundary, and it will not change until it reaches the upper critical temperature line, which is ACM. Here already we have reached the eutectoid composition that is required to form the eutectoid reaction, and it is excess now, and whatever is excess, this line will represent a saturation limit. That is, above the line you have unsaturated carbon dissolved in austenite. At this line you have saturation, and below this line you have the precipitate of saturated carbon. So this line basically represents the saturation limit of carbon in austenite grain boundary. So below this line, the carbon which is rich will come out as a cementite network around the austenite. So whatever is the excess carbon that is dissolved, as it cools below this upper critical temperature line on the hyper-eutectoid side of the steel, will transform as the carbon which is coming out and form a network around the austenite grain boundary, which is something like this, and it will continue to grow until it reaches this low critical temperature line, or it is the eutectoid temperature line. And the austenite try to maintain only that percentage of carbon which is required for the eutectoid reaction, which is 0.8 percentage of carbon, and rest of the carbon will be forming in the form of cementite network around the austenite grain boundary. And this austenite which is present will transform into again the perlite reaction, because already 0.8 percentage of carbon is only being maintained and remaining carbon is being formed in the form of cementite network. So it transforms into protictoid cementite plus perlite. So here, as to summarize, we get a protectoid ferrite and perlite at the room temperatures when we have a carbon composition less than 0.8, which is a hypoeutectoid composition. And exactly at 0.8 we get only perlite, and when you have hyper eutectoid steel, then we get protictoid cementite plus perlite. And the important thing to remember here is this A3 line represents an allotropic change, and above this there is gamma iron, which is austenite, and below this you have both gamma and ferrite. So this line represents the allotropic change, which is upper critical temperature line on the hypoeutectoid side of the steel, whereas this line ACM represents the saturation limit of carbon in austenite. So this line above which there is unsaturated carbon, and as it cools at this line it becomes saturated, and below that any supersaturated will come out as a precipitate and it forms protictoid cementite. So this is how you are supposed to remember, represent, and try to get good marks in scoring the iron carbide diagram with the concepts and the diagrammatic representation. I hope
Today's screencast is all about phase diagrams, specifically the calculations and lever rule associated with the phase diagrams. Here are some muddiest points collected from students, and in the screencast we will answer: what do alpha and beta represent? What is the eutectic reaction? And how do I find the chemical composition and phase fraction from a phase diagram? So if there is a particular topic that you wish to see, there are some hyperlinks right down here. If not, let's get on with the video. Here is a picture of a typical metal phase diagram. So something important to know is why we even have phase diagrams. Basically, a phase is a physically homogeneous part of a material system. When two metals are added together in an alloy, they usually are not completely soluble in one another, so they create separate phases, as seen by this diagram. This may be due to atomic radii difference or different crystal structure. Phase diagrams tell us which phases are present at a given temperature, which is on our y-axis, and a given nominal or overall composition. The phase diagram is a map that tells us at any temperature and nominal composition three things. First is what phases are present. Second, what the chemical composition of each phase or phases is. And three, what the phase weight fractions are. Most alloys have two or more phases because the properties are improved. So this is why we need phase diagrams. Now that we know why we need phase diagrams, let's define all the terms on this phase diagram. Let's start with our axes. Here we have temperature in degrees Celsius on the y-axis and composition or weight percent of tin in the overall structure on the x-axis. It is important to note that throughout this screencast and the next one, we will be using the example of lead and tin. Over here, we have 0% tin, and over here we have 100% tin. Now let's go into our single phase regions. Right here, this region. Over here, this is called the alpha region. It is a single phase region which is lead rich, and it is solid. Over here, on this very small part of the graph, is the beta region. It is a single phase region which is tin rich, and it is solid. Up here, we have the liquid region. All of this up here is the liquid region. It is a single phase region made of liquid components, lead and tin. Now it is important to note that this line, so this V-shaped line going like this line is important because it is the liquidus line, meaning that anything above this line is a liquid. Also, this line right here is the solidus line, meaning that anything below this line is a solid. There are a few other important lines on this graph, one being this line over here, and the other being this line over here. Now, this line on the left is the solubility limit of tin in alpha, meaning that if we started here and added even just a little bit more tin, we'd be in a two-phase region. And depending on the temperature, we would either be in the alpha plus liquid region if it was at a higher temperature, or at the alpha plus beta region if it was at a lower temperature. This line over here is the solubility limit of lead in beta, which means if we started here and added just a little tiny bit more of lead, we would be in a two-phase region and not a single beta region. So if we were at a higher temperature, we'd end up in the beta plus liquid region, and if we were at a lower temperature,
Hello everyone. The importance of equilibrium diagram is to show phases present at different composition and temperatures under equilibrium condition. Here equilibrium condition means slow cooling condition. FAF3C equilibrium diagram is characterized.
So you see the animation, so clearly understand why critical temperatures are very important. That means A1 and A3. A1 and A3 for hypoelectric steels, lower and upper critical temperature lines, and A13 and ACM is the lower and upper critical temperature lines for hypoelectric steels, and AT is the Curie point temperature line, and A4 is the periodic temperature. Means why these are very important means in this critical temperature lines phases are transforming, so that's why these are the critical temperature lines. That's why these are the very important for iron carbon equilibrium diagram. So the temperature lines which takes place 1400 degrees centigrade, 910 degrees centigrade, and 768 degrees centigrade. So that's why these are the very important for the iron carbon equilibrium diagram. So you will see the so upper critical temperature line, that is A3. That is A3 is the below which the ferrite starts from act as results ejection from the austenite into the hypoelectric alloy. So ACM is the upper critical temperature line below which cementite start from its results ejection from the austenite in the hypoelectric steel. That's why it is very important. So the A3 and ACM both are the upper critical temperature lines. So these are phases are critically transforming. Next, A1 is the lower critical temperature line of the austenite to pyrrolite. It requires transformation. Below this temperature, austenite does not exist. That is very important. And magnetic transformation temperature line A2 is the temperature below which alpha ferrite is ferromagnetic. All these are very important lines. That's why these are very important. But in construction of iron carbon equilibrium diagram, these critical temperature lines are very important. So in this finally today's summary today's class summary is so in this class we have discussed the following critical temperatures in iron carbon equilibrium diagram, nomenclature of changes of the point, that means A1, A2, A13, ACM and A4. Next we will see the quiz also. So finally very important for this topic. So thank you.